This is Pat. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is another floss tube video. I'm currently a little obsessed with cross stitching. I do a lot of fiber arts, but lately I've been doing cross stitching. And the first thing I wanted to show you was some cross stitching I did in the late 80s. If you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I stitched a lot during the late 80s and into the 90s. Haven't done so much since then, but the last couple of years picked it up a little bit, and a couple of months ago picked it back up and went, I'm determined to finish some older projects, but also thought I would show you some of the projects I did back in the 80s. This first one is a series of 3 flowers that I know came out of the Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine that was popular back then. I don't know the name of this series. It would have been across 3 issues of the magazine. They always had some sort of series running. This is done on 28 count linen 2/2. This is the first one, tulips. There's some half crosses, of course, some back stitching. And there was also rose, which I really enjoy doing. I love the way it looks. And then lilies. This is, I think it's a cross, they're not French knots, they're bullion stitches, I think they're called. These are just X's. I framed these myself. These were a gift to my mother, and a few years back, my mother moved to a smaller place and ran out of wall space for all the art, and so I am now in possession of these. And so I just wanted to share those. They hang in my living room now. Another piece that is actually a WIP that I started back in the 90s is called, it's called Sunday Best. And it's this girl here. This is done on 28 count amber linen. Most of it is 3 strands of floss over 2. Some of it's 2 strands, some of it's 1 strand. There's numerous specialty stitches. There's even going to be some pearl cotton. That was from the March-April issue in 92. I probably started on it not long after that, within a year or 2 after that. And it's sat in the closet for many years. But I've gotten this part is done. So I've done some back stitching on her face, but I've got a lot of back stitching to do. And then it gets down here. Fold it in half. I think there's still some stitches in the flower bouquet. I've been working on these specialty stitches down here. That's an Algerian stitch. This is white thread, 1 strand over 2. Her pantaloons have specialty stitches. This is vertical satin stitch. There's also some slanted satin stitch. There's more of that to do down here. And it's tedious, to say the least. But since I last showed this, I did finish the bunny's ear, get his little eye in. Of course, I need to back stitch him. I worked some on her shoes. I finished this flower except for the back stitch. And I finished all the flooring. Most of this yellowish color across the bottom was not done the last time I showed this. And I've done a lot of that. It is a challenge being on 28 count linen. And my eyes are not what they were 30 years ago. I have recently purchased a 5X magnifying glass, one of the round ones that has a ring light, and mine sits on the floor and I can lean it over my table. That's the only way I can finish this. And I'm trying to relax and not be nervous about all these specialty stitches, but they are really hard for me to understand where they go. So, and also I have to remind myself that when I'm looking at it at 5X, under 5X magnification, it looks completely different. I have to periodically stop and hold it away from me to go, oh, when it's held, back here, it's going to look different than looking at it under a magnifying glass. And no one should be looking at it under a magnifying glass. There is a companion that goes with her, but right now, this is not on the table of things to do. But if you were interested in doing them, this is her brother called Young Man's Fancy. And it's also on 28 count linen. The finished size of these is, sorry, see the stitch count is 240 high by 138 wide. And it ends up about 10 by 17 inches is the opening of they recommend for the liner of the frame. And there's lots of additional floss gains recommended and whatnot. These, you find this issue on eBay, or the patterns individually on eBay. Also, I meant to look this up, I apologize. There's a book that was put out, I guess in the early 2000s, by whoever owned Cross Stitch and Country Crafts at that point. The magazine no longer existed. And it's something like the best of cross stitch. And I saw that book has these two. I think the pictures are on the back of the book. So I guess Better Homes and Gardens would put it. I believe they still continue to own the rights. So you could get that book. It's a hardback book. It was like $25 or $30, I think, used on Amazon. You can probably find it other places. But if you're interested in doing this, I like the way it's looking. But yeah, it's a challenge unless you enjoy linen. So to kind of break up the monotony of doing that, I don't normally have a lot of cross stitch projects going at one time. It just never dawned on me to have so many. And then when I started watching Floss Tube recently, I was shocked at all these people with 40, 50, 60 WIPs and constantly doing new starts. And if that makes you happy, great, do it. It just makes me nervous. I have lots of other projects in my life. I have lots of quilts in progress and other sewing projects and crochet and loom knitting, and the list goes on. But I don't work on a lot of different cross stitch at any one given time. But I did decide to start a new one that has a lot more color than that one, because the browns were also kind of getting to me, all the muted colors. This is a book from 1990 that I picked up at a thrift store recently. Home is Where the Heart Is by the Cooler Design Studio. It was published in it says an American Sampler, published in 1990 by Meredith Press. This is the piece I'm doing. Happiness is homegrown, homemade, home cooking. It's bright and colorful. It is stitched on, I'm stitching it on 18 count. They recommended stitching it Belfast linen 32 over 2 threads. I'm doing 18 count over 1. I can't do 2 linens at the same time. The finished design is 10 by 14 and a half. So it's I've enjoyed doing it. If you do it over 32. Yeah, mine's going to be about 9 by 13 on 18 count. So here's where I am. I'm not taking it out of the hoop, and you may notice I also don't iron my pieces to show them, because I don't want to have to get the ironing board up. It doesn't stay up, or shouldn't stay up, and I don't want to keep flattening the stitches. But this is where I'm at. So this checkerboard goes all the way down and around as a border. Right now I'm focusing on this. I work from paper patterns anyway, so I don't know my stitch count. I don't know how many stitches I have done. I can tell you how many stitches are on this pattern. It is, I just saw it, 160 by 232. So it's going to be taller than it is wide. It's not quite full coverage. This isn't going to be stitched, but it's a lot. And so I've got most of this done. There's some highlights here on the apple and the cherries. And of course, there's going to be some back stitching here. I don't work in any one particular method of going across. As you can see, I've got some of this done, and then I've got some of this completed. I'll come back with the dark blue and do here. I was working with this green up here somewhere, and I had thread already cut and left, so I just popped down here and did this section, which is going to be, this house is repeated across here, the heart. But I'm pretty happy with how it's coming along. Pretty soon I'll probably, like I said, I'm trying to finish this section, and then I'm probably going to do some more of the border and make sure I've got the sections lined up and indicated. Because if we look back at the picture, it's in like rows, bands. So I want to continue down here, continue this border, and know where each of these bands are. Or I may just focus on this homemade band next. But I do feel like I want the border done before I start on this part. And I'm enjoying it. Like I said, it's pretty nice. I have been stitching a lot lately. Next week, I'm taking a friend to the hospital for surgery. So I do plan on taking this one along to work on. I can work on it without my magnifier. I have a little flip glasses that go over my prescription bifocals that magnify enough for me to see the 18 count. And I don't use brighter light. But I do have one other in progress this is a little kit I bought from a little DMC kit. It's a funky looking, colorful cat. It was a kit that came with everything. It came with thread, a little wooden hoop. The threads, they were already on this little cardboard thing. I usually bobbinate. I put things on bobbins. I don't normally do this, but it was already like this. So first small project this one came with a hoop. I got started on it. I think that's his ear. That's his face. This is 16 count, I do believe. Yeah, no, it doesn't say. Anyway, it's going to be about 6 inches in diameter when I finish him. It was, I bought it at a local yarn store that also sells cross stitch supplies. And yeah, he's a cute little cat. So this is a beginner type pattern. So if you're new to cross stitch and want something quick and easy, or want to introduce somebody else to cross stitch, or a child maybe, I don't think it's an easy. I don't know if it's absolute beginner, but I think it's easy enough that somebody pretty new. And it's got a few straight stitches. I don't think it has, it doesn't have a lot of outlining. It just, like his whiskers are straight stitches. It doesn't have, I don't see any French knots on it. So it's a cute little pattern. This one I'm also going to use as a travel pattern if I go somewhere where I want to stitch, but I don't want to carry the larger project. I can carry that one with me. And so that's what I'm working on. Is 3 projects. And that's how I work. Like I keep saying, I know I keep harping on this, I don't mean to. It's just so surprising to me to watch Floss Tube people with dozens and dozens of projects. I don't know if it ever dawned on me or any of my friends 30, 40 years ago to work on multiple projects. We might have like a large project going and then go, oh, I need something for a gift. I'll do a little bookmark or a little bitty wall hanging, or maybe a fingertip towel. That sort of thing, for a baby gift, or we do Christmas ornaments a lot because those were quick and easy. But so that concept is somewhat different for me. I have quilted for a number of years, and I do have multiple quilt projects in progress, but they're usually at different stages. Like some are just being cut out, some are being pieced into blocks, the blocks need to be put together. The blocks are finished, they need to be put together. Some need to be basted, some need to be quilted. I've never sent one out to be quilted. I guess I'm too cheap for that. I think it's worth it, and I think that people who do long-arm quilting, I mean, they should be paid fairly for their time. I know it's not easy to get the quilt top layered and get it set up, but I'm in no hurry for any of the quilt tops I currently have. I've done hand quilting, I've done machine quilting. Now I'm off on a tangent now about quilting. I've done machine quilting on a domestic machine, even bed-size quilts. You do have to kind of wrangle them and have your table set up right, but it's possible. And there's some people who do amazing free motion quilting just using a regular sewing machine. Then I have a machine that has a larger throat space, so you can put more quilt through it, and it just does straight stitching. I've quilted large bed quilts on it. I think we have 4 or 5 quilt tops that I need to get them basted. I'm really bad about basting. I hate basting. I never seem to be able to get it right. So those have been sitting. And I do have one quilt that I am currently hand quilting. I haven't worked on it in a while because, like I said, right now I'm obsessed with cross stitch. But I do need to work on it. And I have a quilt. If you look at some of my earlier videos, I have quilts from around 1950. One I have repaired, another one I'm in the process of repairing. They were made by grandma, who passed away in 1962, and these would have been made in the 1950s. So I think that's all I have today. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, leave any comments you may have. Oh, I know what the other thing I was going to show was, I saw this on somebody's video, and I don't remember who, is when you have all this extra fabric hanging down, you can buy some fancy gadgets that hold it up, or you can buy hair clips. I got these, I think there were 3 of them for $4 at a dollar type store, not the dollar store, not the Dollar Tree, but the one where things are inexpensive. So you roll it up and you put it on there. Just make sure that this is, smooth. I'm sorry. Make sure the plastic is smooth. There's no jagged edges to catch on your fabric. You can put a couple of them on here. I've been working on this. I've been having 2 on here to hold this up. It makes a world of difference. It is very easy to do. It's easy to move them. And like I said, they're inexpensive. I have a set of magnets that have a loop on them that you can use, but those can get expensive if you want them on more than one project. And I'm using it on the linen project, but these are great. Like I said, just make sure these are very smooth. I made sure there's no snagged edges. There's no sharp edges, no sharp bits of plastic hanging off there. And for $4, for 3 of them, they're working great. So just wanted to pass along that tip. If you have other tips you want to add, please let me know. If you have any tips about working on linen other than magnifying it, I would love to hear that. And that's all for right now. So I hope you have a good day, and I will see you again soon. Thanks.